All right. Good evening. Thank you. Welcome to those of you that are just joining us. For those of you that I don't know and just coming, I'm Jen Sproul. I'm the president of the Maryland Center for Construction and the president of the Maryland Center for Construction Education and Innovation. It's been a long day. So MCCEI for short. Many of you are fierce advocates for MCCEI and the work that we do, but for those of you who are not familiar with us, we are a workforce intermediary with a mission to inspire, educate, and connect a diverse population to careers in the built environment. We are an independent and trusted advisor and resource for industry, education, and government with the vision of making careers in the built environment a first choice option. Since our inception in 2009, we have focused on setting the foundation for change to the built environment workforce pipeline. All right, our keynote speaker today is Michael Riegel. If you're here for the symposium, you know that I met Michael at New York Builds on the day that COVID first hit the state of New York. He's one of those people who just jumps in to offer to help in any way he can, and that includes driving up from North Carolina to spend the day with us here in Maryland. He's not only a wonderful person, but he's a great coach and mentor, and one who I have reached out to for advice many, many times. With that, Michael, the stage is all yours.
So I was faced with the heart of a recession. So now George H.W. Bush was president, and the job prospects in the construction industry were certainly not as plentiful as they are today. But I would reflect back on the conversations that I'd had with my parents as I was thinking about college. Now, both of my parents are public school teachers, and through their lens, their children should become professionals. Construction never quite fit into their paradigm of what professionals were. So I was, still am, the middle child, probably the most agreeable among my siblings. And my aptitude for sort of all things tools related and hands-on would have been a natural fit for the construction industry. So if you had seen me as a kid, I would have been surrounded by Legos, Tinker Toys, Lincoln Logs, erector sets. Some of us are probably old enough to remember the metal erector sets. That was who I was as a kid. It's probably still who I am now. However, and that's sort of a big however, my parents saw it from a different perspective. They were middle class, suburban family. They had no context for the construction industry, no insight into the industry. They didn't know anybody who was in the construction industry. So I was encouraged to become a science major with the idea that I would go to dental school. In their minds, that would have been a perfect fit. Dentists use their hands, check. Dentists have a wide range of tools, check. They need to understand and have the ability, they need to have the ability to understand structures and identify repairs, check. In their minds, it would have been perfect. I would have been a very successful and amazing dentist. The only thing that I had been successful at in the pursuit of becoming a dentist was failing out of college in 3 semesters. Now, that is not an easy feat, and one that was a little hard for me and for them to process. So how did I go from being an honor student in high school to failing out of college in such a short period of time? Well, I can look back on it now and realize that it was a complete mismatch, right? Mismatch of goals, mismatch of interests, even if the skills and abilities were there, right? We were sort of pre-internet. I graduated high school in 1985. had to think about it for a second. Pre-internet, like our range of knowledge and ability to do research was just so much more limited than what we have now. So, but we came together today to talk about and learn about innovation and education in our chosen field, and in ways that in the past likely got a little too little attention. Right? We talked about diversity. We talked about a lot of things today. Things that probably we needed to be talking about in the construction industry for way longer. But at least we're having the conversation now, which is the important part. But we're here today. I see the awards, and at some point after I finish, there'll be awards and some scholarships awarded. And I think that it's important to acknowledge both them and the presenters and panelists today in terms of bringing a more human and humane face to our industry, because it is not what most people think it is. So yes, we build and often rebuild, but without our people, where would we really be? So I found myself feeling like a failure, to be honest with you, until I got my first full-time job. And as you might expect, I got to use power tools and work with like-minded people, and began to slowly figure some things out. That awareness opened up a whole new world of possibilities to me. That led me to a small construction management program in Boston at Wentworth Institute of Technology. So if anybody is looking for a program, I'm willing to put my stamp of approval there after 30 years of graduating and being successful, hopefully. And I had no idea at the time, well, before I got there, that there was even a college program that would have included things like wood construction, concrete construction, welding, drafting, field surveying. Now, the winters in Boston for surveying is not a lot of fun, but we learned a lot. And that was all in the first 2 years of the program. So if I'm being honest at this point, most of my classmates were the children of contractors. Their parents had sent them to get some education, and then they were going to go back into the family business. That experience laid the foundation for the rest of my career. And, in many respects, it helped me regain my confidence. And the faculty there saw something in me that I had not yet been able to see in myself. And I think the operative word there is yet. Susan Dweck, who's I know she's a writer, I think she's a professor at Stanford as well, champions this idea of yet. Not yet ready, not yet, but yet is hopeful, yet is aspirational, as opposed to, no, you can't do that, right? Yet means that you still have some work to do, and that's okay. So I began to learn my first professional lesson. I embraced the sentiment expressed by Benjamin Disraeli, who was a two-time prime minister in England, founded the modern Conservative Party. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. So this concept has probably followed me throughout my career. And for me, the ideas of flexibility, teamwork, planning, collaboration, and a range of other skills became hallmarks of my career and my success. So if I envision myself back in those situations where I was sitting across the desk from a potential candidate, I would have done the candidate, my team, my company, the industry a favor by stressing some of those qualities as opposed to some of the things that were on the four corners of the job description. So as we think about education and innovation, sort of that concept, hire for fit, and you can kind of teach the rest, might hopefully be gaining a little more traction in our industry. And I think that once we can sort of acknowledge our own biases, right? We don't want to, just because the person is, we want to make sure the person sitting across the desk doesn't necessarily doesn't look just like you. That's a good concept that we can start to embrace. So now we find ourselves in this sort of overlapping area of the Venn diagram of both education and innovation. So I readily admit I've had a very circuitous, meandering, perhaps non-traditional career path. I joke that the thing that prevented me from being an engineer was 3 semesters of calculus and a semester of differential equations. So I chose construction management. It was a much easier path. But early on in my career, I realized I liked the people side of the business and the business side of the business way more than I liked the technical side of the business. Now, I was working for engineering firms. That put me in a very unique category. They did not know really what to do with me. On the other hand, so while my colleagues were going for their professional licensing, I went for an MBA. They looked at me like I had 3 heads. They could not figure out what I was doing going for an MBA. Mind you, we were managing multi-million-dollar projects. Our office was bringing in $25 million a year in revenue, right? We were not a small operation. We had some engineers running the office, great engineers, not great business people. But so I'm starting my MBA program. My brain lit up when I got to organizational behavior and all the conversations around what motivates people. How do you manage and motivate teams? And the best part, the very best part, I got to go back to work the very next day and start to experiment and figure out what my own management and leadership style was going to be. It was an experiment. I had to figure it out. I could read everything in the book, but I still had to play around with it and see what suit felt comfortable for me. So I hope that if you surveyed my colleagues, they would describe that style as approachable, helpful, empowering. Yeah, I hope that's the message that they would give you on the if they had to write my eulogy, but hopefully not anytime soon. So a couple lessons that I learned along the way. The world is your oyster. I heard someone sort of on the panel I was leading earlier today. Craig would use that phrase, and it sort of struck with me. The world is your oyster. So, like so many of Shakespeare's quotes, we have totally mangled it. So the original quote is much more self-reverential and boastful, right? We don't think of the world as your oyster in that context. But I think we can still find meaning in even though we have sort of butchered it to beyond its original intent. I think about the banquet of options that are laid out in front of us. And even with the possibilities, we often miss out on some of those opportunities. It just happens. Some of those missed opportunities, like for me before college, were because the people who were giving me guidance had a blind spot or just had no context or knowledge to truly be objective and helpful. I'm an executive coach. The plethora of choices can be exciting and paralyzing for many of my clients. It just is, right? We want all these options, and it just is, there are too many. And Brett Stevens, who writes for the New York Times, was at Duke University, where my daughter goes. Go Blue Devils! I know we got some ACC fans. I hear. I'm in enemy territory. But Mike Krzyzewski has retired, so Duke's going to be terrible this year in basketball. Yeah. So, I understand. Well, listen. I grew up in New York. I am who I am, right? It's like, yeah. So Brett Stevens was on campus, and he was there talking about the challenges that college seniors face. And he said, like, it's like standing on the edge of an abyss. They have no idea what comes next. They don't know there are too many options. There are too many places to go. And he said, like, because for college students, for high school students, you always understood what came next year. You went from second grade to third grade, you went from eighth grade to ninth grade, right? It just was the progression. And then you get to the end of whether you're gonna go to college or not go to college, you get to that sort of that terminal year and you go, oh boy, what comes next? I don't know which way to go. And it can be paralyzing, which is a lot of what I work with my clients. So what I try and do is I help them get upstream of that decision, right? And sometimes getting upstream of that decision is encouraging them to think about what's important to them. Why is that important? What would success look and feel like? As well as what are they trying to achieve? Now, most of my clients are technical professionals. When you start to talk to them about how would this feel, they start to sweat. I got to talk about emotions. We just sort of bring it in the back door, right? We don't necessarily, I have to take a different I can't go frontal attack with them. And to me, this is the same discussion that we're having around mission and vision and values. So if we can get clarity around that, right, it's a little bit of what we do in our business, right? We have to get clarity around our projects. What are we going to build? What's the purpose and size of the building? What are its planned uses going to be? Because we want to have all of that information before we start sending in the excavators to start digging out the foundation. So we're faced with choices in life, and they can be difficult. From a career perspective, there are things that we can learn even from challenging environments. I'm a firm believer that failure is often our best learning opportunity. But I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea that making a choice that doesn't work out should necessarily even be considered a failure. So I worked for an engineering firm for a while. I had a boss who could only be described as loud and abrasive and probably lacked what we might say is a little bit of polish. He treated us, his staff, as his tools, no different than the inanimate objects on a construction site. But there were lessons to be learned. First of all, it informed me about how I would want to treat teams when I got the opportunity to lead teams. And second, it is remarkable how much we can endure, how much pain we can put up with for both short and long periods of time. And it's sort of a good reminder that when you stop banging your head against the wall, it feels really good, right? We can persevere and do a lot of things that are painful, and sometimes we don't even realize we have the ability to stop. And when we stop, some of that pain goes away. So that's part of what we're talking about in terms of choices. Second lesson, your education does not end when you leave school. So for the students in the room, your education does not end when you leave school. This is just the beginning. So my coach, yes, professional coaches indeed have their own coach, once remarked to me that she considered me a lifelong learner. And I kind of scratched my head and what are you talking about, right? I didn't see it that way. And as we started to, we worked together, I could start to come around to her perspective. Education comes in many forms, and we need to start to think about how do we embrace all of them, right? It's like a tool, right? We just have to figure out which one feels right in our hands. What's the job we're trying to accomplish? And so when we start to think about formal education, right, this sort of comes through a classroom or a workshop that may be focused on personal or professional development. There are sometimes that those skills and abilities that come into play as our careers advance are really that's the secret sauce. I recall I was having a conversation with somebody earlier today about, he said, like, the building part is easy. The construction part is easy. The people part is hard. That's where the rubber hits the road. So So I recently spoke at the National Association of Women in Construction's annual conference. And we got on this topic of soft skills and what it all means, how, right? So somebody raises their hand and she goes, why are we calling them soft skills? I said, all right, what do you want to call them? She goes, well, aren't they sort of people skills or management skills or leadership skills? I said, you can call them whatever you would like, whatever feels comfortable for you, right? Industry has sort of labeled them as soft skills. Soft skills, for many people, are not easy to acquire. They're hard skills to acquire, right? So we sometimes do people a disservice by just sort of labeling them as soft skills, as if like you're going to pick them up like, you know, anything that would be natural to you. However, there was universal agreement of the importance of the skills that are needed beyond the technical and beyond the four corners of that job description, right? We rarely put those soft skills, you know, highlight them to the point where, right, we're really focusing on them, you know, individually. And I will say I get more inquiries and probably fall into much significantly deeper conversations with people around supporting technical professionals as it relates to broadening their skill sets. Brilliant engineers, blind spots, right? They are really good at what they do and what they were trained to do. In many cases, they can learn to be people managers, they can learn to do all the other things, but they need support. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, in an educational environment, we're talking about support. Most hiring managers now, across industries, talk about EQ, emotional intelligence. We don't like talking to technical folks about emotional intelligence. They don't like it. But most hiring managers will tell you from a recruiting perspective, it's much more indicative of success than IQ. So when you start to think about your organizations and having those conversations, we need to think about how do we talk about EQ and that emotional intelligence component in a way that is going to be welcoming and that they can gravitate to. You know, we probably still lag behind the rest of other industries in that regard, you know, but it's like preaching to the choir here, right? We all kind of get it. I had a manager, right? It's you know, I would say maybe the most important soft skill, non-technical skill, really focuses around communications, right? We're talking to each other. But I think communications, as broad as it is, we need to think about it in the context of not only how do we speak to people, not about necessarily how do we write that email, but understanding the needs of the other person. How do they need to receive information? Because you may receive information one way, which is intuitive and is perfect, but if I offer that same information over here, maybe a total mismatch. But I think that the place where we maybe miss even more is the idea around giving and receiving feedback. And not just feedback, effective feedback. I had a manager, I worked for the gas utility in New York for, 5 or 6 years. I had a boss. Every year in April, he would slide my performance review across the desk and say, oh, by the way, I need you to sign this. Sounds bad, right? Actually, it might have been even closer to perfect because we had been having conversations throughout the year. There were the conversations about, right, we need to do things better here. Right, here's an area where I think there's some room for improvement. Here are some skills you might want to consider. We had those conversations. And if we put it in the context of our industry, it's the cost to correct. If we lay concrete and it hardens, and then we find out there's a problem, what is the cost to rip it out, redesign it, and then reinstall? But if you catch it when you're doing the planning, all of a sudden it's a much easier and less costly problem to fix. Feedback is the same way, particularly in terms of performance. The closer you can deliver the feedback to when you recognize the problem, the easier it's going to be for there to be a correction. Assuming, and that's a big assuming, you can deliver that feedback in a way which is neutral and helpful and for their development purposes, right? It's not punitive. So I was at the conference with NAWIC and had a room of 100 women. And I said, just by a show of hands, it was totally off topic, but I said, just by a show of hands, who here has had a performance review in the last year? About half the hands went up. I said, okay, keep your hands up. Who here has had a one-on-one conversation with your manager in the last year? And about 80% of those hands went down. So maybe 10% of the women in the room were getting regular feedback and had a performance review. Now, to me, that's, I sort of stopped my presentation. I said, you are entitled, you are entitled to a conversation at least once a year. Maybe more, right? At least once a year. And I said, no, the one-on-one conversations. One-on-one conversations are not about how's your project going. One-on-one conversations are about personal and professional development. And I said, the person who's responsible for the agenda and for making sure that one-on-one conversation gets scheduled is you. Your manager is not responsible for scheduling or developing an agenda for a one-on-one conversation. If you want it, you have to ask for it. So that's my sort of 2 bits on feedback. Your continued education might be a little more self-directed and informal. The number of options now are just dizzying, from podcasts to magazines to books dedicated to everything from leadership, management, business, organizational behavior, whatever it is that is relevant and interests you. I will put in a small plug for Dr. Lori Santos. Her podcast is called The Happiness Lab. They're short episodes, 30 minutes. The benefit of Jennifer inviting me here was that I got 4.5 hours in the car yesterday. So I got to catch up on all my podcasts. Now, I am still old school. I am, 55, going on 56. I still like a physical book. I've got a bookcase filled with authors, Chip and Dan Heath, Angela Duckworth, Malcolm Gladwell, Adam Grant, and they are, if you open them up, you're going to find scribbles in the column. You're going to find highlighted sections. You're going to find things that are underlined. Part of why I like books, right? The actual physical book, right? You read an ebook and it's like, it just doesn't do anything for me. Maybe it's just the tactile nature of holding a book and the smell and feel and of the paper. But my point is that whatever your interest is, you're going to find something that has meaning and relevance. And as the son of an English teacher, my mom was a taskmaster with our writing, but her perspective was then and has stayed with me now, which is never stop reading and never stop learning. Because once we stop learning, it's like, my perspective is like, you're done, right? You might as well just fold up the tent and go home. There's still so much to learn. It's just, it is astonishing to me. The things to learn and the people to learn them from. So we also don't want to lose sight of the continuing updating and acquisition of our technical skills, because that's really important to some of the work that we're doing in the field. So we came today to talk about education and innovation. And as one of my favorite characters expressed in the movie Field of Dreams, the screenwriters borrowed it from a Greek philosopher, but I think it's still appropriate today, 2,000 years later. The only constant is change. And our industry is not the same as it was 100 years ago. It's not the same as it was 30 years ago. It's true that some are slow to change and embrace new approaches. A colleague of mine when I worked for the gas utility would say, the pipe is round, it goes in the ground, just like it did 40 years ago. Now, he had, He had forgotten more about the gas industry than I would ever know. But there was some merit to what he was talking about. Even though there were newer and faster and cheaper ways of making repairs. The Empire State Building, which was built 13 months to build the Empire State Building, 2 floors a week for 13 months. Not a computer or a calculator in sight. We couldn't do that today, nor would we even try to do that today. Right? Building's still there. There's lots of reasons why they were able to do that. On the other hand, I don't think anybody in this room is advocating that we're going to go back to trying to build a 102-story building without a calculator or a computer or any of the other technological innovations that we've come up with. But the best we can do is start to think about how do we embrace the technology so we can be in the leading edge. It's going to happen. You can't stop it. It's like the tide. Technology is going to come, change is going to come. We have to be willing to ride the wave a little bit. And the last lesson, you didn't build that alone. The former president, Barack Obama, took a lot of heat for saying that. He was talking about it in the context of the infrastructure that the government funds and the nature of allowing businesses to operate. So it's kind of relevant to what we talk about. But as I look back on my career, I can see the guiding hands that got me to where I am. I never could have known 30 years ago that this is where I would have been. And when Jen asked me to speak, I had to really think about what the message was that I wanted to get across. And I think this is important, right? This idea that you didn't do it alone. The recognition that the visible and invisible hands that helped me achieve my success, I couldn't recognize them until I had a little bit of longevity and a little bit of perspective, and had the willingness to kind of look back and reflect on it. So my son, who's about to graduate from University of Michigan, not an ACC school, so hopefully we're good with University of Michigan here. Big Ten. Go blue. Oh, wait a second. Oh, Maryland is now Big Ten. See, this is the problem. This is the problem. They keep moving schools from one conference to another. Maryland, to me, is still an ACC team. And I know that now they're a Big Ten team. But in any event, my son is about to graduate from college, and he will not ask for help. He will not ask for an opinion. He doesn't want guidance. He does, however, know how to ask for money, like most college students. Right, so that he's mastered that one. But he's got the opinion that in order for the outcome to be worthy, for it to be a source of pride, he's got to do it on his own. Now, my wife and I, we remain at the ready if he asks for help. But I don't think it's going to happen, because what could mom and dad possibly know? Right? What could we know? But we work in team environments, and on a day-to-day basis, we rely on our colleagues. They rely on us. It's a complex system. It relies on written, sometimes, guidelines. It relies on often unspoken acknowledgments. And I think that the idea of working as a team, delegation, supervision, or leading is probably the most adaptive of all adaptive challenges. So Ron Heifetz, who's a professor at Harvard, came up with this framework of technical challenges and adaptive challenges. Technical challenges being the ones that are linear. We know what the solution is, right? We can easily adapt. It's like the puzzle piece. You put the puzzle piece, all of a sudden, everything comes into view. Adaptive challenges, though, those are the ones that they're hard. They are hard because what worked in the past may not work in the future, even with the same person. What worked with one person may not work with another. So as managers, we're constantly having to adapt having to experiment, having to figure out like what's going to work for this person, what's going to work for this person in this situation. And I think that essentially anything that really falls into that realm of teamwork, interpersonal communications, productivity, likely falls under that influence of needing adaptability and flexibility. So I found great pleasure and great frustration managing people, as I'm sure many of you have felt the same way. Now, I feel enormously fortunate to be that guiding hand for other people, to be getting those phone calls from past colleagues who are looking for some advice or some acknowledgement or some encouragement or just an ear to listen. And I think that if I can leave you with one sort of go forth message, there is something very gratifying in being able to do that. And I would encourage you to put yourself in that position, to put yourself out, to be helpful and supportive to other people in the industry, particularly as they may need a hand up and not a hand out. Help them get to where they want to be. So I am sure there are lots more lessons that I could have, and I could talk about all the stories that sometimes, like horrify my wife when I tell her. But reflecting on the theme of education and innovation, I'll leave you with one last quote, and this is from the former Prime Minister of Australia, Julia Gillard. Our future growth relies on competitiveness and innovation, skills and productivity. And these in turn rely on the education of our people. The growth and success of our industry will rely on innovative thinking, accepting new approaches, attracting the next generation of team members, and letting go of the mindsets that are blocking our progress. And I want to thank Jennifer for inviting me here. Even though it's a 4.5-hour drive, I got some podcasts to listen to on the way home, and I am just thrilled to be able to support the organization.
All right, thank you so much, Michael, for your words of wisdom today. Please have a safe drive back to North Carolina. I know I'll hear from you soon. All right, I'd like to welcome to the stage Emma Shirey, MCCEI's program manager, to talk about our inaugural internship program and to hand out our first set of awards.
Hello, hello, hello. CEI. I also act as ACE affiliate director, so I work with a lot of students a lot of the time. Have young people, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. You are our future workforce, and we are so excited to celebrate you today. This summer, MCCEI hosted our first official internship program. We acted as a hub, connecting students to opportunities, businesses to potential hires, and these interns to further learning opportunities. We partnered with the Workforce Innovation Network to promote careers in the AEC industry through a series of online modules, field trips, and a final challenge to engage students in what they learned throughout the summer. I would like to invite up my dear colleagues and friends from the Workforce Innovation Network, Nicole Cotton and Dr. Martha James, to come up and say a few words about our program and the importance of engaging and uplifting students. These are some of my favorite ladies that I've worked with, and I'm super excited that you get to hear from them. Take it away.
Oh. So many people. Martha, Dr. James, and I have collaborated for a number of years. Our styles are very different, but if I have to, that's my best friend, and that we're hopefully going to see a little segment of why I think we work well together. We are firefighters for what this team is doing. And I first want to say thank you to the students, because we were invigorated We found our passion as to why. We have our whys, and we are so excited at what the future has in store for us. So just a couple highlights, and I want to give a little bit of background before I hand it over to Martha. And let me tell you, there will always be an activity when you see this woman. It comes with her brand. So a couple things I want to reflect on, as well as give you backdrop to why this effort with MCCEI, and by the way, to finally see Emma and Jennifer in person, I don't think I could hug you hard enough. These two ladies, if I could, oh my gosh, can we do that? Because just juggernauts for purpose, and spoke their truth in every conversation, and made us better professionals and humans. So thank you for all that you tirelessly do every day, all the time. So thank you. So I do want to make a few comments. The mention of emotional intelligence, or EQ, was mentioned from our wonderful speaker. I want to know if you know, between men and women, this is a gender question, who between men and women have higher EQ, the highest EQ? Do you know that answer? Raise of hands, who thinks it's men?
Nada, crickets.
And who thinks it's women? Okay. So I thank him for sharing that, because when we were asked to be a part of this project, it was a unanimous vote from our team that we were here to help empower and lift up all areas of opportunity for humankind as it relates to construction. So it was not optional for us. So a little bit of backdrop on civilian cyber. That is really the nexus of what brought Martha and I to this table. And our other half, the Bobby and Tony show, we love them dearly. Bobby has mutton chops to here. He's a Richmond guy, 6'4", and if you meet him, you think he has cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, and is ready to go and he is ready to take on the universe. Tony, this shorter Italian guy who is a spitfire, who will run around the room 10 times in 3 minutes and solve world hunger. That's Tony. I will let Martha introduce herself, but because she is one of my best friends, I just want you to know not only is she academically accomplished, but she has seen and done more in her life than most get to do across lifetimes. And so I could not be more honored and proud to be in her presence and on this stage, and she will sure share more. And I myself run my own company where I focus deeply on diversity, on opportunities that we're looking to educate, transform, and do more for our future workforce development. So the four of us had a very strong common denominator. We realized that as different as the four of us appear to the common eye, we all understand that if we don't all find out and figure out how those communities that have been underserved, those that have not been seen or heard, those that have heart and want to do more but have not been given the opportunity, how do we make sure that all does mean all, and we can see ourselves not as the pawn, not as a rook, but the queen or the king? And that is what we're here to do, is to pour into all organizations like this one that says, I see you, and I'm going to purport and stand up structure and processes to make sure that the conversation and the communication from those that know and have done and will continue to do, there's structure to pouring into all of these young, amazing faces that have said, here I am, see me, help me. But the conversation and that back and forth isn't just who are you and where'd you come from? It's tell me more, what is your why, and how can we identify those areas that we know we need to shore up? They're safety nets. Because at the end of the day, if we have anything to say, we really want to see a diverse community that is representative in construction. And I want to see more women with hats, hard hats, saying, who is that woman over there in the corner? She's the one you need to talk to. Not that I'm not saying it can't be anyone, but I just personally would love to see a stronger, diverse team of leadership, and that's the future. Okay, so a couple things, and I just wanted to, before I hand it over, I know Martha's like, oh, here she goes. I'm getting the time for that. Oh crap! One quote, and then I'm done. So we had the quote from Michael earlier, but I'm going to share one more, and then I'm handing it over to Martha. And this is from James Baldwin. Does anyone know who James Baldwin is? One quote, 30 seconds. The purpose of education is to create in a person the ability to look at the world for himself, to make his own decisions. And that's what we're here to do, is to give these young people enough information so that they will make their right decisions. All right, Martha, it's all you.
Thank you, Nikel. So I'm getting the signal already that we're over time, but I'm going to be a teacher my whole life. So what I need you to do is I need you to engage for just a moment, because we're coming out of COVID, we're coming back to be people. So would you please stand up, if you are able, and find one or two people, and just go ahead and face them. So you're gonna make, Nikel, can I borrow your body? Would you help me? So one or two people, you need to be standing close enough to them to engage. This is no longer Zoom, this is about people. Go ahead and put your right hand out flat in front of you. Your left index finger in the air. When I say move, what I'd like you to do is put your left index finger towards the right palm of your partner's. So Nikel, would you put your left index finger also? Then what you're going to do is one of you is going to say one, so you're gonna need to make a triangle, folks, right? Engineers, for sure. There you go. You're gonna count 1, 2, 3, and you're going to attempt to not get caught and catch at the same time. So we'll show you 1, 2, 3. And do it again, 1, 2, 3. Go ahead, try it 5 times. Go ahead, move.
Come on, I think one more chance, one more chance.
Up here. When you have completed that 5 times, go ahead and have a seat. Thank yourself for engaging. So as an educator with over 30 years of experience, I've learned that to prepare young people to fully develop as individuals and productively contribute to society, we need to use every minute twice. In that last experience, you heard laughter, you heard connection, you heard the social emotional being together. Those pieces matter. We both re-energize our brains and welcome our bodies as we create momentary connections. What just happened from my vantage point was both a refresher for your body and your brain and your mind as you proceed to be ready to hear what I've got to share with you. And we've spent so much time behind a Zoom screen that we've got to learn to step out. And in working at how we're going to look at the world of work moving forward, we have to figure out how are we going to make those connections? How are we going to use every minute twice? Because we need young people ready to enter the workforce to fully engage. We know that education, job training, and internships are a part of career exploration and readiness. We also know that internships need to both fully prepare skillful employees and future professionals that are ready to be problem solvers, self-starters, creative thinkers, clear communicators who can attend to work-life balance. And in other words, we know that internships and professional development need to be able to prepare people by using every minute twice. In education and as a teacher and now a professor at the university, we know that we've come to collectively realize that we also need to use every minute twice in addressing young people's ability to develop knowledge and skills, as well as attend to their social and emotional wellness and the needs of their whole developing human beings. In meeting the academic and human development needs of young people, we need to use every minute twice, and that's not exclusively relevant to education. But also in education, we've realized we need to understand our roles in embracing justice and equity and diversity and inclusion to interrupt systemic racism and institutional oppression. It's not because we need to be politically correct or that we need to contort ourselves to some sort of external requirements that are being forced upon us, but rather we need to be aware that there are barriers to success. And we need to be precise and accurate and kind in our language in order to have our actions lead to the results that are what we want. We need to make sure that if we're not doing that, that we need to understand that if we're not doing that, we are contributing to the reinforcement of those systemic barriers that result in less and less people having access to the skills and meaningful work that we need to keep our society moving. And frankly, we need to see that technological advancement and evolving demographics are not a barrier for us, but they are an opportunity. And if we're aware of those barriers and actively working to interrupt them, then we as individuals and industries will not end up being the blockbusters in a Netflix world. We need to use every minute twice. From my lens of a school teacher who participated in the construction of 25 new school buildings in 5 years, we saw the twofold success measures of on time and under budget as profound. As we move forward in seeking to create and maintain 21st century skills in the built environment, we need to acknowledge that we need to remain on time and under budget, and recognize and acknowledge the whole human needs of our employees. The need of us to stand in space to address systemic oppression. We need to use every minute twice. Over the past year, my team and I have had the privilege of collaborating to enhance the internship experience and support interns and mentor organizations while teaching and reinforcing 21st century skills, as well as gathering data to help address systemic barriers from multiple diverse vantage points. We've been able to provide the support to use every minute twice. And as we leave here today, we leave you with a call to action to examine how you are from the square on which you stand, using every minute twice to improve your community, to practice, deliver excellent products and customer service, and come in on time and under budget while making this world a stronger, better, more sustainable place to live, work, and play. Thank you to the two of you for allowing us to play with you. Thank you for being here and the work that you're doing every day to make this world a better place.
Aren't they awesome? I love them. Alrighty, so our students say that they left our summer internship program feeling more empowered in their career finding, more excited by the construction industry, and especially more confident in themselves and their workforce initiatives and beyond. 2 of our interns have even been offered full-time jobs upon finishing the summer program. Crazy, right? We're so proud of our 8 inaugural interns. So that's 2 of 8 got jobs, 6 won awards today. So we are super excited to have them. And the next 5 awards are reserved especially for our 2022 MCCEI summer interns and their organizations. First, our Intern of the Year award goes to a student whose insatiable curiosity allows him to excel in a variety of areas, says his instructor, including engineering, robotics, mathematics, and Model UN. His work with Mount St. Joseph's ACE team helped him earn an MEP award in 2022 and led to his internship with Gilbane. When you come up to take your award, you can just pop up this way. I'll hand you your award. We'll do a little handshake and take a photo. So Eli, if you could start making your way up. A Kelly Scholar at Mount St. Joe's, our winner, Eli, rises to the challenge of taking rigorous AP and honors level courses. While he works well independently, his many skills are even more evident when working with a team of learners. Congratulations to our MCCEI Intern of the Year, Eli Pate. Perfect. All right, moving on. An internship can't happen without wonderful mentors leading the way. Our Mentor of the Year went above and beyond in his planning, engaging the interns with shadowing opportunities and lessons. His charismatic and uplifting attitude towards the industry and just being in the workforce empowered both of his interns to continue their education in the AEC environment upon graduating high school. If he could start to come up. This mentor is also a mentor in our ACE Mentor program of Baltimore, so it is certainly key that he does a lot of work with our young people in Maryland. Chad Harry is the winner of our Mentor of the Year award for the MCCEI internship program. All right, so there we go. Getting carried away. There's Chad. All righty, our internship program finished with a final challenge, requesting that the students design a game with the goal to inspire young people to join the construction industry. This game was to be based off of the knowledge they acquired through the WIN online program and Civilian Cyber. Each game idea was totally different, from video games to phone apps to board games inspired by Monopoly or Connect 4. We would like to congratulate the top 3 winners of the game design for their exemplary use of construction knowledge to inspire newcomers to the construction industry. In third place, with her game called Career Cooking, focused on pathway building based on skills and attributes, players choose between different options to top their pizza, taco, or ice cream. She cannot be here today, but Ella Boyce, an intern at Limbach, won this third place award. In second place, with her game called The Construction Game, which was a game featuring a Monopoly-like structure in which players enter the workforce. They roll a die to move across the board, just like you would in Monopoly. But this game demonstrates the importance of networking when building your company while answering questions about the construction industry. The winner of this second place award is Frances Nezio. She also could not be here today. But our first place winner is actually able to join us via Zoom. And he designed a game called So You Want to Be a Project Manager, a payday style board game where players face off amongst each other to try to finish the project with the most profit. Oh, I don't know. Well, oh, perfect. Our first place winner and the designer of this phenomenal game is Gabriel Emmons. Gabe, thank you so much for joining us today, all the way from Florida. He's in college, and he will hopefully be joining the company that he interned with in the future. So very cool. All right, awesome. Bye, Gabe. Thank you. Thank you to all of our MCCEI interns, intern organizations, mentors, and Workforce Innovation Network partners for making our first summer a shining success. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Emma, for getting us back on schedule. Okay, congrats to all our winners. We are so excited to announce that we will be hosting another internship cohort this summer. If your company or your students are interested in participating, please send Emma an email. Her contact information is in the program. Okay, our first award, our first pathway award for the evening is the Built Environment Hero. This award recognizes a person in the built environment industry who embodies the values of MCCEI and who has championed workforce development initiatives in the built environment. Our winner, Benjamin Morgan, is a vice president at Barton Mallow and infuses developing, promoting, and connecting career opportunities in the built environment as an undertone to each task, meeting, and project he completes. Not only has Ben an MCCEI Board of Trustees member, but he also serves as an adjunct professor in construction management at Morgan State University for the past 10 years. This role allows him to directly impact marginalized students by encouraging them to pursue careers in the built environment and ensuring that they have the best training to excel beyond graduation. As vice president overseeing all Barton Mallow operations in the state of Maryland, Ben takes great care to hire a truly diverse team for an all-inclusive and equitable work environment. This starts with his involvement in recruitment efforts to ensure his team reflects the community in which they build. Ben leads outreach events across Baltimore, prioritizing local marginalized communities. In addition to recruiting, Ben utilizes his role at Morgan State, the largest HBCU in Maryland, to create a pipeline of students and interns to hire full-time at Barton Mallow or to refer to local partners. So nice of him to send them to the competition, contributing to building a more diverse and inclusive construction industry across Maryland. Under his leadership, Barton Mallow has contributed over $150,000 in scholarships at Morgan State for students studying construction management. In his own words, Ben's greatest pleasure in his work is leading a group of people in a direction that is much greater than any one person and forges unity, diversity, and accountability. Ben?
Wrote a couple of notes. First, I want to say thank you to MCCEI for this awesome award and selection committee. But as one of my favorite basketball players, Michael Jordan, and he said, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. And in reflecting this and listening to the speaker, I said, Jen, wow, you have gathered, the organization have gathered a bunch of talented people to win projects, have won projects all over. You collected them together to work as a team, and you brought their intelligence for the championships of moving Maryland into a better place. And I just want to applaud the MCCEI for doing just that. Thank you. And the last thing, I'd just like to say, one day, each and every one of us will have a goal that we accomplish. And prayerfully and hopefully that goal is to leave whatever you are involved in better than the way you found it. So God bless you all.
For those of you who don't know, Ben was my boss at my job right before MCCEI. So the fact that he still supports me in my current mission is pretty awesome, and he's a wonderful person, so I'm glad that he got this award. Okay. Our next award of the day is our Government Partner of the Year. This award is given to a person in the public sector who embodies the values of MCCEI and who has championed workforce development initiatives in the built environment in the state of Maryland. As the superintendent of the National Park Service's Historic Preservation Training Center, Moss Rudley creates training opportunities for craftspeople and promotes the historic trades. With the National Park Service, Ross has initiated and now oversees the Traditional Trades Apprenticeship Program. This program has national reach, but is based here in Maryland. Its goal is to teach young people traditional trades and get them job ready for the public and private sector careers while also developing their awareness and appreciation for the historic built environment. The Traditional Trades Apprenticeship Program will integrate as a pre-apprenticeship program to the previously mentioned Historic Trades Apprenticeships. The work with the Traditional Trades Apprenticeship Program shows the passion Moss has for the built environment and specifically historic trades. Moss couldn't be with us in person tonight due to a work assignment out of state. However, he is joining us via Zoom. Hey, Moss, if you'd like to say a few words.
Hello, and thank you, MCCEI, for the award and the nomination. It is truly an honor and privilege to be amongst the construction industry here in Maryland, and realizing that and that the built environment has been around for thousands of years, and those trades and crafts have been passed along and have shaped our modern construction industry. So we must constantly look to the past as we develop and build our future, and realizing that our building stock is all part of that that environment. So again, it's been a pleasure to receive this award, and I really encourage everyone to teach a trade to a child, to a youngster. They are our future, and they will preserve our past. So thank you again.
Congratulations, Moss. And for those of you who aren't aware, the Traditional Trades Apprenticeship Program, the Training Center, is right here in Frederick. It's a gem that we've got it here in the backyard, and they've been a huge partner with us at Camp Newick the last few summers, and have done some really cool hands-on activities with the girls. It's a really amazing program. If you have anybody who is interested in working in the National Park Service, it's a way to get in. Okay. And they also, I believe, give scholarships to their apprenticeships when they're done as well. Okay. Our next award is for the Community Partner of the Year. This award recognizes a nonprofit or community partner organization for an initiative, program, or other support they have implemented that aligns with the mission of MCCEI. Tools for Success, raises money to offer additional materials needed by construction teachers in Baltimore City Public Schools. The founder, Laura Concanon, works with teachers and the district to fill gaps that may exist for consumable items or unanticipated tools. For those of you that don't know, you cannot use funding in school systems for things like sandpaper and wood and those types of things. So it's really hard to run a construction project without those, a construction classroom without those. So Laura's company, Laura's nonprofit fills those needs. This allows constructors to better prepare students to step into careers in the built environment. This summer, Tools for Success supported the Carver House program by providing materials to a YouthWorks training center at Carver Vocational Technical High School. Carver House is renovating a previously abandoned home across from the school and converting it into a construction lab that teaches passive house techniques. Their carpentry, masonry, and electrical students are able to get hands-on experience in sustainable building practices. That is just one tiny thing that Laura has done over the years for Baltimore City Public Schools. Laura, please join us as you accept your award and say a few words.
I just want to say thank you to MCCEI and all the opportunities that Baltimore City has allowed me to help all the students and bring the joy to me.
Our next award is for the Future Builder of the Year. This award recognizes a student, apprentice, or trainee who exemplifies the best of the built environment. Ibtisam could not be with us in person tonight. She's not on Zoom, is she? Okay. So unfortunately, she is not able to be with us. Emma, did you want to say a few words about Ibtisam? Okay. No problem.
Ibtisam Alamoudi was one of our interns this summer. There she is. She was an intern at the MCCEI summer internship program this past year. And when I first met her in her interview, I was blown away, first by her knowledge and agency, and closely following her kindness and humility. Ibtisam has multiple degrees, a master's, and so much work experience under her belt, but was really eager to learn from the 15, 16, and 17-year-olds in part of our internship program. So she was always asking questions, always coming to me, her mentor, and the other students in the program. Kimberly Driggs from D2, Ibtisam's host company, and her now employer, who hired her after our internship program, said that she is smart, has a very strong work ethic, and brings a strong passion for learning. Her determination and efforts are admired by all. In addition to her job responsibilities, Ibtisam has a very positive connection with each person in their office. She's not afraid to ask questions and is clearly driven to succeed. We, on behalf of D2 and MCCEI, are certain that she will succeed. Congratulations, Ibtisam, for this shining achievement.
All right, our next award is for the MCCEI Educator of the Year. This award recognizes a teacher, guidance counselor, professor, administrator, or instructor who goes above and beyond to inspire the future workforce in the state of Maryland. Our winner works a lot with Tools for Success. Oh, where did he go? Oh, he's right on there. Oh my gosh. It's a long day. Okay. Mr. Alan Booz is an exemplary, inspiring construction teacher in the field of carpentry for Baltimore City Public Schools. He offers a rich program for students at Edmonds and Westside High. He supports students as they pursue industry certifications and also connects them with career opportunities during and after graduation. He offers additional career exposure through a weekly construction speaker series for his students. He is a model teacher that supports his students and colleagues throughout the district. Mr. Booz is a kid magnet, and even students who do not have him as a teacher seek him out as a mentor. He always has young women in his classes who he supports in a field that is disproportionately male. He also models entrepreneurial skills as a business owner, inspiring and supporting young people of color in their own professional pursuits. Unfortunately, Mr. Booz is officiating a high school football game tonight, so he couldn't join us. He did send me some words over to read on his behalf. MCCEI, thank you so much for acknowledging the hard work, sacrifice, and sleepless nights I offer to prepare my students. I never really think about receiving awards for this work because I look for my rewards in the faces each and every day. As a construction tradesman, I never thought I would land in a classroom, yet I'm glad I did. Each and every day, I get a chance to add value to students that seek the utmost guidance. Every year, I poll my students only to find that on average, 8 of 10 are living without a father in the home they directly dwell in. As a male teacher, it makes me understand my role better. It outlines the stance, voice, and guidance that most of my students respect. Our trillion-dollar industry suffers from a lack of strong, capable men because of fragmented household. However, I accept the challenge every day to build strong men for others and sing the praises and sweet notes of how the construction industry changed me. We're building scholars every day. Follow us on the social media platform of Instagram on ewhs.carpentry. Again, thanks so much. Business as usual, Alvin Booz. As a side note, we are actively recruiting speakers to help Mr. Booz fill his construction weekly speaker series events. If you're interested, reach out to Emma. He brings in 3 guest speakers a week into his school. Okay. Our next award is for the Champion of Workforce Development. This award recognizes an organization for an initiative, program, or other support they have implemented that aligns with MCCEI's mission. The winner of this award is our first 2-time winner, and it is for good reason. BGE's workforce development strategy aligns with MCCEI's mission to develop, promote, and connect career opportunities in the built environment through programming that targets youth and adult job seekers from underserved communities in need of economic opportunity within the Baltimore region for career paths in the skilled trades. The BGE Workforce Development Strategy program is designed to help students and adult job seekers build skills needed for energy careers, increase awareness of job opportunities within the in the industry, and connect people to family-sustaining careers. 2 core programs are the BGE High School Internship Program, targeting skilled trade CTE students, and the BGE Workforce Collaborative, targeting adult job seekers interested in utility construction careers. In 2022, BGE expanded programming with the creation of a summer STEM experience, STEM into Action, to drive awareness and interest in energy careers for middle school students from historically underserved communities. Research indicates that students who are exposed to STEM in early education are more than likely to pursue a career in STEM. The 4-week enrichment program for 5th to 8th grade students, offered in partnership with the Y in Central Maryland, Child First Authority, and National Energy Education Development Project. The program exposed students to pathways in STEM and built an awareness of utility careers through education labs, executive interactions, and a trip to BG's training center. The program goals included creating opportunities for students from underserved communities to be exposed to STEM pathways, increasing STEM exposure for young women, and driving awareness of BG utility and energy career opportunities. They actively work to eliminate the stigma of pursuing a job in the skilled trades and to highlight to students from middle school through high school the amazing opportunities that exist right out of high school within BGE and other trade organizations for those who have a passion for the trades. BGE is challenging the perception of the built environment through exposing 5th through 12th grade students to career opportunities within STEM fields. BGE actually launched the STEM into Action program, which targets 5th to 8th graders, and introduced them to the STEM programming while drawing the direct connection to STEM careers in the utility and trades and environment. Like we heard earlier today, the construction industry is the STEM industry. BGE also partners with 8 local high schools to provide STEM career opportunities. They hire individuals for the high school internship program and bring those alumni back to their high school to speak to students about career opportunities within the industry. They host an annual Youth Energy Day program, which provides students with information about career opportunities in the utility and provides hands-on equipment demonstrations and Q&A sessions, on and on and on and on and on. So I would like to invite Kristen Booker of BG on stage to accept the award and say a few words.
So thank you, and it's really an honor to be up here today, and congratulations to all the other awardees and recipients today. At BGE, so we have more than 3,100 employees, and we serve Central Maryland with the reliability of the gas and electric industry. We recognize that in our region, many members of our community have been historically locked out of careers within our industry and have endured long-lasting racial and economic inequities that have led to higher unemployment levels, higher poverty rate levels, lower graduation levels, and also these same individuals are being hardest hit by the aftermath of the pandemic. We realize that we must not only create jobs that increase accessibility to the careers within the industry, but also in other trades, and we must work to improve the economic equity within these historically marginalized communities. By being intentional in how we hire, where we put our resources, and who we partner with, we are helping transform the communities within our region. So I look forward to what we can still do and the partnerships that we can make to continue to forge this progress. And I want to thank everyone for their time, and again, congratulations to everyone.
2021 marked the inaugural, I can't even say that after this long of a day, the first year for the MCCEI Scholarship Fund. This is our second year. Our mission is to develop and promote careers in the built environment, so what better way to do that than to help fund the education and training of our future workforce. When we proposed this idea to our board at the end of 2021, they immediately took action to make the scholarships happen. And I wanted to take a moment to thank all the people who generously donated to the MCCEI Scholarship Fund, for without them, these scholarships would not happen. Numerous individuals personally donated to the fund, and today kicks off our fundraising for next year's scholarship. So if you would like to donate, you can use that QR code right there and donate directly to our PayPal on screen. It is 100% tax deductible contribution to our scholarship fund. Thank you so much to all those who have donated. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Matt Pine to introduce our winners. Don't worry, that QR code is in your books too.
Before I announce the winners, I should say, please give a generous round of applause after I read each name. Our scholarship winners are working hard towards their dream and deserve the recognition. If your name is called, please come up to the stage to accept your award and say a few words if you like. Please stay up on stage until after all the names are read so we can have one final round of applause. If I read your name, please start making your way up to the stage. Our first winner attends CCBC Essex and is pursuing a career in civil engineering. Reagan mentioned how civil engineering can give hope to younger individuals because they can revitalize neighborhoods and communities, and that studying in this field, quote, lets their creativity run wild. They also said, I have prior experience working on a park called Angel Park, which was specially designed for children with disabilities. My prior experience working on that allowed me to understand and capture the mindset of specific individuals, understanding the limitations certain individuals have. And the winner is Reagan Dennis. Congratulations. Don't think she's here. Okay. Our next winner is currently attending the University of Maryland and studying engineering. Ryan's interests in both computer and civil engineering make for an interesting dynamic while pursuing a built environment career. Their Project Lead the Way classes help to enrich their interest in engineering, and they're quoted as saying, I am excited to be part of a workforce that has direct impact on each and every individual's life. From the various appliances that are in our homes to the infrastructure that we use to get from point A to point B. I am excited to use my hands to create things and can help to improve and enhance human life. And our winner is Ryan Matthew. Congratulations. Let me get a picture. Our next winner also currently attends UMD, with their field of study being mechanical engineering. They're quoted as saying, "I have a passion to focus on the design and manufacturing fields of mechanical engineering. Engineering has been a passion of mine since high school. In high school, I was enrolled in the Project Lead the Way program. This program introduces and teaches students about engineering fields. My passion for mechanical engineering stems from the things I enjoy doing. I enjoy being hands-on and designing systems and components. Also, I value having the possibility of being able to work with machines, cars, and construction. I envision making an impact on the communities in Maryland with my community involvement and support ideals." And the winner is Kalia Burnett. Congratulations. Our next winner applied for and won our scholarship last year. Priscilla is studying mechanical engineering here at UMD, and in their application, they quote Mark Twain. "The two most important days in your life are the day that you were born and the day that you figure out why." They say this quote resonates with them as they continue to explore their academic and career goals. They say, while I still have a long journey ahead, including a college education, and may not have all the answers yet, I am certain that my purpose is to make a positive change in the world around me. This person has passion for sustainability as well. And the winner is Priscilla Knapp. Congratulations. Our next winner also attends UMD, majoring in fire protection engineering with a minor in construction project management. Through their experience at TurpWorks Engineering Labs, it has helped them to see a future in the built environment. They're quoted as saying, "With my interests in education and engineering, specifically fire protection and construction project management, I'm excited to start a career in Maryland that leverages my unique perspective focused on safety, sound, and engineering, while minimizing negative environmental impacts and ensuring efficient project management." And our winner is Joshua Lumpkin. Congratulations. Our final winner is an electrical apprentice and is part of the Harford County Electrical Contractors Association. Joseph showed ambitious qualities on their application and was quoted as saying, "My goal is to own and operate a contracting company prior to graduating. Prior to graduating my Harford County Electrical Contractors Association electrical apprenticeship by 2025. For me to achieve this goal, I need to complete my apprenticeship program and sit for the Master's Electrical Licensing exam by the end of 2025. My apprenticeship program is critical for me to meet all the qualifications necessary to be a master electrician. There is no substitute for practical hands-on learning and is supplemental in-class instruction. The blend of these learning mediums creates a perfect environment to progress quickly while knowing that I'm creating a solid foundation in the electrical trade." And our winner is Joseph Feely. Congratulations.
And we'll get the three of them together, if you could. Go back to.
Congratulations again. MCCEI President Jennifer Sproul will give our closing remarks.
Well, thank you to everyone who joined us today and for the amazing work being done by industry folks, companies, community partners, government agencies, teachers, and students. I hope you were as inspired as, oh my, I'm really struggling to speak tonight. I hope you were as inspired as I am this evening, and maybe you'll step up your own efforts after you hear what some of the other organizations are doing. As we learned today, there is no one single solution to our workforce problem. We do have a problem, and at MCCEI, we're working to combat the issues on all sides. In the education sector, we're working on increasing enrollment, creating curriculum that aligns with workforce needs, and easily articulates into post-secondary options. We're targeting women and minorities in our marketing and recruitment efforts because increasing numbers of these populations will be a huge benefit to the industry, and access to careers in the built environment will be life-changing for the individuals themselves. And we're working with the Maryland government to make the necessary changes in our state-run institutions and help direct funding to partner organizations that can do this necessary work. We hope you'll join us in our work. If you're interested in getting involved with MCCEI or supporting us, there are many ways to do so in your program that you have with you. Please call, email, knock on my front door. We can solve this problem together. If you have time, please stick around to congratulate our winners, and thanks for joining us. Be sure to connect with us on whatever social media platforms you are on, and have a great evening.